Hi everyone, I'm Allison.
I'm Bryce,
and we're Better Half Reviews. And today we're talking about our top 20 prototypes that we've played. So these are games that aren't out yet, but they are coming out, and we wanted to let you know some of our favorites that we've been playtesting, or...
Some of them multiple times over like the past year.
That's true too. Yeah, so we've either done reviews of these, or reviews of these will maybe come out in the future. And yeah, so let's get
reviews.
to it.
Oh yeah, I guess we've done reviews of some of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Who's going first?
You will go first.
Okay.
Since you decided it was 20.
Okay, fine. We decided together.
I said 15.
Previously. We said 20 before.
I don't remember.
On our top 10 video, I said 20.
Okay.
Anyway.
So you decided on our top 10 video.
Whatever. My number 20 is a dexterity game, which is usually not my jam, but this one is coming to Kickstarter sometime soonish this year, and it is Block.
Oh, you call it dexterity? Oh, okay.
Is dexterity?
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, so it's like 3D jigsaw, kind of like Tetris-y, and you're trying to put together a cube, and there's different player modes that you can do, like co-op, solo, or competitive, and
then putting the game away is its own game.
it can be.
But it does have instructions on how to put it
away. It has this cool like rotating stand that I really like to just like spin it. Anyway, so it's a really fun, like family friendly, just little puzzly game.
So my number 20 is a game that I found really fun at first, and then we played it so much that I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with this now. But it was still really good at first. And that was Rift Knights. This is a game. Is it being produced by Red Raven?
Yes, they're...
But it's not a Ryan Lockett game.
No. It has his art and Andrew Bosley's art, but I think it's designed by... Oh, shoot. Which one is it? Is it Elfseeker? Or is the other person? I can't remember.
That's why I'm asking you. But yeah, it's a Red Raven game. It's a lot of fun. You're either defending or attacking these different... I forget.
You're either like demons or knights.
Yeah, I can't remember. You're either demons or knights, and you're trying to defeat the other side. It was a lot of fun. Fairly quick to play. But like I said, we played this so much that I'm like, kind of done.
I thought it was okay. They did launch it on Kickstarter and then they canceled it. They're revamping it. I don't know what changes they're making, but I think that's going to come back out to Kickstarter or pre-order, probably pre-order.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm hoping it's improved because I thought it was like okay, but
I thought it was good, but after like the 5th or 6th time you played it, it's like, okay, this is kind of feeling the same, especially if I'm on the same side.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 19 is a little party game that we played, and it kind of surprised me how much fun that we had because it was just ridiculous and fun and silly, and that is Rucksack. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge of like apples to apples where you're putting things together, but you're putting together like a story. So you get random items and you have a scenario and you have to like pick your items and explain how your items would help you get out of that scenario. And so the stories that people would come up with just are crazy or whatever, and everybody secretly votes, and you know you win if you had the most votes after X amount of stories. But I had a lot of fun with it, and it's a good little party game setting, and just kind of like break the ice with people and come up with weird stories like being in a hot air balloon and something with a kiss band.
I was gonna say my first one or something. We were in like a hot air balloon was crashing, and I got like horrible cards. I got like a guitar and then like face makeup and some other things. So I was like, I'm just going out in a blaze of glory. I'm in a Kiss cover band, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and that should probably be fulfilling this year.
Cool. My number 19 is a battling game. No, that's a bad way to say it. Anyway, my number 19 is Hamsters vs. Hippos. Okay. And this is a cute little game where you're a hamster and you're jumping across these lily pads, getting, what are you obtaining? I can't remember.
Little flowers?
Yeah, lotus flowers. You're getting lotus flowers, and you have to be careful on which lily pads you jump on, because they could be a hippo, and the hippo will eat you. So it's a fun little game. It's really quick to play. It's family friendly. Our 4-year-old loves playing it,
He loves playing the hippo game.
and so yeah, that is Hamsters vs Hippos.
All right, all right. My number 18 is a game with boats, which we played several of those, so it's a little bit hard to know which one it is. And that one is Old Salt.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
So this one, you have a crew of ships, and you're going out trying to overtake different islands and battle against opponents, and you have different faction abilities and different types of boats. And it's kind of cool how you can maneuver and shoot. We had fun with this, and this usually isn't my jam of a game, but I did have fun playing it, and it was my number 18.
Yeah, I really liked that game, and I really thought it was interesting how you got to choose boats, and each of the boats have different unique abilities and can be good or bad depending on your faction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's really good at the game, as he is with most games. But anyway.
So my number 18 is a magical game with unicorns, and you go on quests. Or it's called Magical Unicorn Quest. It's a card game. I don't even know how to describe it.
You're trying to put together your own stable and collect the different unicorns.
Okay, so it's a card game in which you're trying to collect different unicorns into your stable, and you score points based off of that. Again, it's a pretty family friendly game, and it's fun.
Yeah, there is like a version that's already out, but we play tested like the newer version.
Yeah, like the deluxe or gold version or something like that.
There's just like tweaks to it from the original, and yeah, it was fun. I had fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at my list. Mm-mm. Okay, my number 17. I feel like I should cross these out too. Mm-mm. My number 17 is a game that at first I wasn't much of a fan of it. And that's because we played like a few rules wrong and just misunderstood the strategy of the game. And the more that we played it, the more fun that we had. And that is Wild Realms.
Mm.
So there's lots of different animals, and you're trying to collect different animals into different kingdoms and be the first one to have all 5 kingdoms. And there's a really random battle it out way to like go against opponents, and it's crazy and unpredictable, but we kind of like that. And the art for it was really cool with all the different animals, and has like lots of wavy lines in it, different color schemes. So yeah, that game surprised me, and I had a lot of fun playing that one.
So my number 17 is a card game called Reinforcements, and this is kind of like War a little bit, but way better than that card game and random chance. But you have essentially 3, or up to 3.
At the beginning.
Well, yeah, at the beginning. It can grow up to 5, I think. But you have 3 stacks of cards in front of you that are like you're trying to defend, and you're trying to attack the other person's 3 stacks of cards. So you'll set down a card and attack the other person, or you'll like put a card on your stack to help defend it. It's a lot of fun, and
well, the different colors of cards have different types of abilities, so it adds like extra layers of strategy.
Mm-hmm. And if you get like a stack of a certain color card, then you can get like a special like one-time ability and stuff like that, which is cool.
Good choice, good choice. My number 16 is also a card game, but not Reinforcements. It is Chili Mafia.
Mm.
So this was a game by Lemery Games, and they have it themed down in I don't remember what country.
It's either Mexico or it's somewhere in South America. I don't remember.
Yeah, somewhere in South America. I'm forgetting the place. But you have a whole bunch of different cards, and you're trying to collect chili gangs or a mafia, and they're like different peppers, so like Carolina Reaper and other things.
Habaneros and
but yeah.
jalapenos.
So you're trying to collect different sets, and there's a little bit of take that to it, and some other silly things that happen. But we had a lot of fun, and everybody that we play tested it with really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I like how there's like the different peppers get more points based on their spiciness. So like
Yeah.
jalapenos are like not very spicy, so they're kind of lower in the points.
Or
And then you
there's-
have like the Carolina Reaper that are like the granddaddies.
There's the sweet chili that has
Oh,
like
yeah.
a little binky in its mouth because it's like, oh, you're a sweet chili. And the case for the game looks like a little suitcase and it has like
Mhm.
little magnetic clasp. I like that. So cool. Anyway.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's pretty well themed. I like it as well. So my number 16 is a card game, I believe, where
Holy.
well, I remember the gameplay more than like the components of it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a card game, but there's like 3 areas in the game, and your opponent has one, and you have the other, and you try to move into the different areas and attack each other.
Okay.
Which is the game is Lost Empires.
I was like, what game is this?
I probably should have said that first. It's Lost Empires, and so it's an attacking game with a kind of limited battlefield, but it's pretty strategic, and I like the different cards and the artwork and stuff on it.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing. That's by Ryan James III. It's from Colossal Games, and it kind of felt like Smash Up with more strategy or like interesting ways to like move things around.
Yeah, it's like Smash Up with different areas to move and like retreat from.
Yeah.
So like move into and like press forward or retreat,
Mhm.
and it's not just one single like base in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I think you have multiple bases in Smash Up Dungeon.
Well, I mean, yeah,
But
you have multiple
anyway,
bases, but you don't have the different areas. Like I can't move forward towards the base or
Yeah.
like move past the base into your area.
And there's also a solo mode, but we didn't try that. All right. It's a good choice. My number 15 is another game with ships, and that is Quests and Cannons.
Mm.
So this one, it has like a big board that is, it can change out different pieces, so you can change up your board, and it's basically like a pick up and deliver game, and you have different factions you can play as. There's so many different play modes that you can play. You can do cooperative, competitive, like 2v2, 3 versus 3, all that. I had a lot of fun doing like the cooperative mode where we're trying to like go against the AI. But yeah, I liked the table presence of it and the different ideas with it. We played just in the prototype, so we don't actually have the game anymore. But I had a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Actually, we're getting this game, right?
Yes.
Can't wait to get it. Anyway, my number 15 is our first crossover.
Really?
Finally, yes.
And about time, because like we played mostly the same prototypes, playtesting things.
Yeah,
a little bit of difference.
We each played about 30 prototypes, give or take, a little bit.
I don't know
So
the number of mine, but yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so number 15 is Chili Mafia.
Okay.
And just like Allison said, it's chili themed, and each of the different chilies are its own gang, and you're trying to become like the mafia boss, and you just collect the different chilies, and you have the different sets of them, and it's just a lot of fun. I love the theme, and kind of like what I already said, I just like the different chilies and how they're just like can be really cute, or then you have the Carolina Reaper that's kind of the granddaddy of them all.
Yep. Don't steal that one. All right, so my number 14 is a game that we played not too long ago and has the potential to be higher, but we need more plays of it. And it doesn't have an official name yet, but it is from Elixir Games, and the game is Gadgets. This is a game that's kind of like a mix between Near and Far and Above and Below with some card management like Everdell. And so I've had fun with it because you play on different maps like you do in Near and Far, but you go through multiple maps in one game session, so they're kind of like mini maps. And you can have scenarios that you go through in like mini games with like dice and chance and push your luck. And you have, what I like that's interesting is you have different meeples, but you put them on different sides. And when you choose to use a meeple, you go down the side that it's on, and then you go down your cards, and you can get those abilities. Then you can go out onto the board. So you kind of have to be strategic of like what cards you're putting on the left side and the right side. Do you put it all over here, or do you try to like separate it out? So I had fun kind of like figuring this one out, and I want to play it a little bit more.
Yeah, I actually didn't go and put this on my list because one, I made the list before.
Well, yeah, so did I. I told you to
And
go think about it.
and two, I don't think we've played it enough for
Well,
me to
yeah.
really rank it. But I see like the potential in it, and it's a really early prototype. Like,
Well, yeah. It doesn't
um,
have like final art, or they're still kind of figuring out like the leveling out of things, but
yeah,
I can still see what it is.
I see the potential, and if I were to put it on my list, it would probably be in the top 10. Um, but again, I didn't consider it just because I made my list before.
Oh, I did too. I adjusted my list. But
So,
anyway.
my number 14 is a card game called Captain's Log Crisis Detected. And this is a fun, pretty easy game, family friendly game, where you have kind of a fleet of ship, or you have a ship in front of you with different sections to it, and you have a hand of cards, and you kind of hurl different um, disasters towards your opponents. So you try to disable your opponent's ship or make it blow up, and it's a lot of fun. And you can have like different people cards that like go into the different sections of your ship to help repair it or whatever. And I don't know, it's just a lot of fun when you have a good group and you're just trying to like blow each other up.
I like that. Like you have a little ship card, and if they blow up your ship, you turn it over, and it's an exploded ship, and you're like, oh no! Yeah, that's a fun one. All right, moving on to number 13. My number 13 is a game that
It's a game.
it's a 2-player game.
Ooh.
And it's an abstract strategy game, and I really enjoyed playing it, and it is Canosa. So I would liken it a little bit towards kind of like chess, where you're strategic, trying to like move pieces to other places, but you play diagonally on the board, on the square board, and you have like each player has like a main piece, and then kind of like pawns that have rings, and so you can move around and try to put a ring on top of someone else's pawn, but the most that a pawn can have is 3 rings, so whoever has the ring on top has like the control over it. So there's lots of different strategy, and you're trying to move your sailors over to your side of the board and like get them safe. But yeah, it's a lot of fun and very interesting trying to figure it out, and like, I don't know, very puzzly.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
And it's like big wooden pieces, and they have like a deluxe edition that's all like nice wooden pieces. I'm like, that's super cool. I can't afford that, but it's really cool.
So my number 13 is another crossover
Oh.
with your 17, which was Wild Realms.
All right.
So like Allison said, we kind of played a few rules wrong the first time. We didn't quite understand some of the rules, so it kind of tainted our perception of it, and we're like, this doesn't really make sense. This is kind of weird. But then we corrected those, and we felt like it was a good game. I obviously thought it was a lot better than Allison.
By a few places, whatever.
But it's just really fun to decide which animals you want to like attack with, which animals you want to help defend, and put into your realms, and it's just a great little puzzle.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my number 12 is a game you didn't get to play, and I played it online, and that is from R2I Games, and it is Don't Go In There. So it's a little Halloween, spooky themed game, and it's kind of like Push Your Luck and Set Collection, but like the opposite Set Collection. So you're collecting different cards, but they're curses, so you eventually want to try to get rid of them, but you have to collect certain things in certain ways to get the sets in order to get rid of them. And what's really cool is that, I mean, even though I only played online, the box is actually like a dice tower. It looks like a spooky house, and you put the dice in, they're little glowy ghost dice. But yeah, so I thought like the theme was cool, and it was intriguing just to see like little gimmicky mechanisms, but I had fun playing it, and we backed that one. I want them glowy dice.
Cool. Didn't know we backed it.
Yep.
So my number 12 is a game Allison already mentioned, and it's a puzzly game that's kind of a little more difficult than checkers, but a little less difficult than chess. And it's Canosa.
You liked it much more than I did.
I did. You had it at 13. I had it at 12. So, um, anyway, uh, yeah, like Allison said, it's just a great abstract strategy game where you're going out trying to kind of convert or take over the other pawns and bring them back to your side. And it's difficult, but it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. That's good. My number 11 is another abstract strategy game. And I mean, it has a theme and everything, and it is Elements of the Gods. Or Elements of the Gods. And so you have different abilities like
Earth,
water, fire, and there's different followers
wind.
that get put all over the board. And so when you play those elements, you move people around and you're trying to like collect people and do certain things. And I thought it was interesting and fun, and you're setting up these different monuments for whatever god you're playing as, but I don't think they really had like names or whatever, so it's just like monuments. But
well, yeah, they had like different colored monuments.
Yeah.
For
you're
like
trying to do
each different player or whatever.
Yeah, different formations and other things, and score points by getting these gold cards. And I had fun with it. And there is a solo mode that I tried a little bit. Probably need to try that more. But yeah, I think we played this one and then we had to pass it on. And then when it came to backing it, we're like, we probably shouldn't back more games because we can't back every game that we do a review of because it's just be too expensive. So I ended up not backing it. But then I ended up winning it in a giveaway from, I think, the Facebook group Board Game Revolution. And so I kind of like laughed to myself. I'm like, well, there you go. I'm glad we didn't back it because now we can get it anyway for free.
Honestly, I'm glad we're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my number 11 is Elements of the Gods.
Oh, hey. We got a like tied crossover. Nice.
So, yeah, just like Allison said, I really like this game. It's very puzzly because you're trying to put monuments in certain spaces because they score points, and once you put a monument down, it kind of prevents other monuments from being put down around it. And just there's ways to optimize the spacing between your monuments, but then your opponent's trying to mess that up.
And he's better at the spacing. I'm like,
And then,
oh shoot, I did that wrong.
well, like, and then you have then you're trying to use like the wind and the fire or whatever to push followers into certain configurations around your monuments so you can score more points, which is, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of like moving pieces to it.
And there's like two sides of the board if you're playing with like less people. So that was kind of nice. All right, so now we're getting into the top 10. This is what people probably fast forwarded for, or maybe they're still fast forwarding, probably. Anyway, my number 10 is a game that you did not play.
Okay.
And I played it online. And this is from AEG. It's Meeples and Monsters. So it's a very interesting game because you have, like dice drafting games and other things like that, or games where you're taking things out of a bag. In the game, you're collecting and getting different meeples who have different abilities, or like abilities to like go to certain places. And so you're drawing meeples out of the bag, and then you have to kind of like deal with and figure out where you want to go, how you want to do things based on the meeples that you collected. There's different cards that you can kind of purchase, or like monsters that you can go fight. But you kind of like level up different meeples, and some meeples are more powerful than others. I feel like I needed more plays to get like the strategy down, but I could see like how the game would be interesting, and I think you'd probably really like it.
Yeah, I did not get to play that one.
Nope.
So, my number 10 is a racing game, and it is...
You can say it.
Hoverdome. So this is a racing game, like I just said. You have like a little hover bike, and you have a hand of cards, and you play down a card, and whatever number that is on the card moves the bike forward. And it's really fun because if you take like a corner too fast, you'll take damage. There's special cards with like turrets on them, so you could like shoot at another player, or you could like have a gravity like cannon that like pulls people back, which is really fun to do right at the end of the game.
It's kind of like sci-fi Mario Kart in board game form.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way to put it.
that green thing, if you can see it, is a big version of one of the hover bikes. It's above your head.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that is Hoverdome, my number 10.
And that was on Kickstarter. It should probably be fulfilling soonish. I don't know if it's coming to retail or not, but there'll probably be some copies available. My number 9 is probably a game that's way up on his list, is my guess. And it is Mythica the Olympians. Unless it's number 9 for you. Anyway, so in this game, it's like kind of like a civilization game, but not having to like, okay, let's get all the wheat and do this. You're playing as one of the Greek gods. And so what you're doing, you're kind of manipulating the land and like moving heroes and going after like quests and sometimes fighting monsters or battling people or like other opponents. There's lots of things that you're doing and lots of very strategic decisions and like upgrades you can choose and like prayers to answer. There's a lot going on in it, but it's gotten like better and better each time that we've been playing it. And I'm seeing like it be more streamlined, and it's really interesting. Like, this is not typically one of the games that I will like pick off the shelf, but I've had a lot of fun playing it, and Bryce would cream me at it if we played against each
The last time we played, we actually won against the creator.
No, we tied.
We tied, and we had the tiebreaker, didn't we?
I can't remember. We talked about what it should be.
Oh.
I think we win the other time too?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. Anyway.
But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoy it. It's like Allison said, it's a streamlined civ game, and you're not like worrying about a ton of resources, which is really nice. And I do enjoy it, and it is on my list, but we'll see where.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it's from Northern Games, so you can check that out.
So my number 9 is not Mythica.
Okay.
It's higher.
I figured.
My number 9 is an interesting game about plagues in space.
Oh, okay.
Space plague. So you have this. You're trying to infect this world essentially. So you have your own kind of home-based world, and you send out these plagues that go up this track and infect this world like in the center of the board or in the center of the table. And the person that infects this new world with the most of their plagues wins. But you can get some really like interesting abilities to help you like make your plagues stronger, help move your plagues faster, and stuff like that. It's really interesting. There's ways you can put like your plagues on other people's boards, so they have to like spend their actions to move you up and stuff. So it's really cool. I like it. I enjoy it.
I liked it too. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be produced.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So that one, it got on Kickstarter. It funded enough, but then they ended up canceling. There's some other stuff going on. I don't know if they're going to relaunch it, because that was actually technically the relaunch. I hope that they bring it back, because
I do too. It's
it was
really
fun. It was
game.
good.
Yeah.
And there was other like bigger content creators that really were enjoying it, like Rado. So, you know, if you don't trust us enough, there's Rado's opinion. Anyway, I really hope that they do produce it, because it's fun, and we have the prototype of it still, and so we can still play it.
Yeah, at least we have the prototype. So if you want to try it, just
come over. Alright, my number 8 is a game that you already mentioned. Ooh. And it is a racing game.
Ooh.
And it is Hoverdome. So I had a lot of fun with it. Like, some racing games can just feel slow. Some turns can be a little bit longer than others, but you're engaged because stuff is happening to you or might come at you if you go different places. So like you're engaged even when it's not your turn. You're like, okay, how can I get around? Oh no, there's debris on the table, or the little like buddies that can be thrown onto the board. Anyway, there's just a whole bunch of cool, cute things, and I really like it. And I am so glad that this did well enough to fund and everything on Kickstarter, and you should go look for a copy sometime.
Okay, so my number 8 is a card game called Deck of Wonders. And this...
Wow.
What?
I thought it would be higher.
Is it higher on your list?
I don't. Well, I haven't even mentioned
number
it.
Number 1?
Anyway.
I don't think it's number 1. I think
Continue anyway. Don't say anything. No spoilers.
So, Deck of Wonders.
Everybody already knows what my number 1 is. Anyway.
Anyway, so Deck of Wonders.
It's a card game. Shush! I'm gonna like bleep that out so no one knows what you said.
Okay. So, Deck of Wonders is a very interesting card game where you're playing both the good guys and the bad guys. Because it is a solo card game. And so, depending on who you draw the card out for, you turn the card around or you turn the card to face, whatever the right direction is. And so, it has some really interesting art where the same character on one half of the card is good and bad on the other half of the card. And so, I really love the artwork in this game. And the bad side of the card typically is very powerful and very strong compared to the good side of the card. So it is definitely a challenge. But you build out this deck based on like the scenario you're playing. So there's kind of a legacy aspect to this. And you can choose, what cards that you want to put in based on what cards the bad guy, so to speak, is putting into the deck. So you can kind of combat his cards, but the cards you put in could be used against you.
Yep.
So it's kind of a catch-22 there, but it's a really fun, interesting game.
Yes. And that is from Furia Games, and that should be funding this year, or
fulfilling this year.
Thank you.
They did have the print and play version of it.
Yes.
Sent out recently.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the prototype copy, but I've played through the entire thing. I'm like excited to play with like all the final art because like the first little deck was all final art, and then the rest of it is little stick figure placeholders.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't wait to play with the real thing.
And I've kind of avoided playing further into the campaign. I've only played like the first bad guy essentially.
Yeah. You haven't tested the other two. I've gone through the whole thing.
I've been waiting to not spoil anything and be able to see all the art for the first time.
Okay, so number 7 is a game that we played online with Billy Indiana, another content creator, and this is Now or Never. This is a Red Raven game. It's the third in a trilogy with Above and Below, Near and Far, and then Now or Never. And it's interesting with how it has it's like Near and Far with the story aspect and everything, but even more strategy going on because you have like this little grid of buildings that you can choose to build out, and it's a difficult game.
Yes.
And so I'm interested to see like how it's changed and how it plays, and it should be shipping out sometime soon.
Well, we only played a one-off scenario too.
Well, yeah, we didn't get to play the campaign part.
This is like the story mode campaign. So I'm interested in seeing the campaign.
So it felt like very strategic and like, whoo, I did so bad in that game. So I'm hoping I can do better, but I'm excited about it because I've loved the RZM storybook trilogy, and I just want to see where it goes.
Yep. So my number 7 is the first ship game on my list, if you don't count spaceships. These are sailing ships. Do you care to hazard a guess?
Wait, is that a guess? Is that a clue?
I don't know.
I was gonna say quests and cannons, but since you said hazard, I'm like, now I don't know. Is it Old Salt?
It is quests and cannons.
Okay, I was like, okay, I think it should be that one. When you said hazard, I'm like, there's a hazard ship on Old Salt. Okay, anyway.
Yep, so it is quests and cannons. It's a really interesting game. You're going around this board. You can choose to fight other characters or not. And you can complete different challenges and quests and stuff. And
watch out for the Kraken.
Yes. But it is a lot of fun.
It's a good one. Okay, my number 6 is a game that has several different modes of play. You can battle it out, or you can do the campaign mode, and it has amazing art, and it's like King of Tokyo on steroids with tons of strategy, and that is Heroes of the Shire from Senior Games. again, this isn't always like a typical game that I would pick, but I've had a lot of fun with it, and I really like doing like 2 versus 2, where you can like team up and battle it out, and it has dice, but you use it to just like you have like a cooldown, like you can use like a certain spell or battle method.
You don't use the dice to roll.
Yeah,
Most of the time, there is one dice that you roll to do
sometimes.
like different effects.
But like if it's a very powerful spell, maybe I'll have to put down a 5, and so when it's my next turn, it'll turn to 4, 3, 2, 1. And when the dice leaves, then I'm able to use that spell again. So you have to like time things out and plan it, and especially when you're playing like with people on your team, you can kind of be like, okay, I will do some healing, and you can do this, or like do this back to back. Like it's a really cool way to like figure out different strategies and methods to play it.
Yeah, and like each character has a special ability, so.
A special? Okay, the main. Okay, got it.
Well, like a special ability or just like a specialty.
Yeah.
So like you have a wizard that he might not do very much damage, but he can cause the other team to have a ton of effects put on them. You can like make them bloody and poisoned and confused and have all these different effects, which if you have a teammate that complements you, they can do stuff with those effects or get buffed or whatever because the other team has all these effects on them, or it's really fun.
There's lots of layers to it, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a game you have to play multiple times to really appreciate like what's going on.
And I like that like you can like see more the more you play, and there's so many characters. There's like 20 or 22, 23, I can't remember, in the Kickstarter, and it should be fulfilling at the end of this year, but I'm guessing probably like early next year.
Yeah, just depending on all the shipping stuff going on. But we'll see. That might be on my list.
Might.
So, number 6 is a game that was on Kickstarter and fulfilled. Well, sorry, it hasn't fulfilled. It funded.
Okay. I'm like, what?
Sorry. And we actually did a playthrough of it. So this is Keep the Heroes Out.
Wow, he didn't like it that much. It's number 6. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, the top 10 are all like super close, and I'd be like, I would want all these games. Anyway, not that the bottom 11 or the bottom 10, it's not like I don't want those games, but anyway.
Anyway, Keep the Heroes Out, yeah.
Keep the Heroes Out. So Keep the Heroes Out is a fun...
Or as our son would say, keep the heroes in. Anyway,
it's a dungeon crawler, but you are the bad guys, and you're trying to keep the heroes out of the treasure room. So each player is a different kind of faction, so you could be skeletons or ghosts or...
witches and gnolls.
Yeah, witches and gnolls. I just totally forgot all of them. Or Cthulhu. Or
yeah.
Anyway,
a
dragon, and you are battling the heroes and trying to keep them out of the treasure room, and they just keep coming in this onslaught of heroes, just never ending, it feels like. And
that doesn't make it sound good. Never ending?
Well, it does end, but it feels like it ramps up.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the level of difficulty and stuff that you play, it can ramp up really quickly and feel very difficult, or, you could start it easier and then ramp up the difficulty, whatever. But it's a lot of fun.
That's a good one. All right, moving into our top 5. My number 5 is a solo-only game, and it is a small card game, and it is Grove. So
what? That was not what I was expecting.
You're welcome.
I thought you were going to say Tech of Wonders.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you're like, yep, what? Grove is the sequel to Orchard. It's from Sideroom Games, so it's an 18-card game, but you only play with 9 cards at a time. And you're putting things down, and you're trying to make your little grove of citrus trees. And you have these dice that you're putting down, and as you layer cards over, you can increase the number on your die. And you have different colors of die for green, yellow, orange for the citrus. And even the little pips are little citrus. It's so cute. Anyway, so I really like this because it's a good little puzzly game, and you can play 2 games of it pretty quickly in a small space. And so it's really nice as a stay-at-home mom where it's like, I want to play a game, but I don't really have like time or space. I'm like, play a quick game, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I actually didn't play this one, but I
At all?
watched at all.
Oh.
But I watched you play a few rounds, and it does go really quick.
Yeah, I did a review, and then I actually have a playthrough where I show both games, so you can check that out.
Cool. So my number 5 is a Civilization game that Allison talked about a long time ago because she didn't like it as much as I do, and that is Mythica.
The Olympians.
The Olympians. So, like Allison said, you are playing as a Greek god, and you have special abilities as this Greek god, and you can, manipulate followers, manipulate heroes and priestesses to go out and do your bidding. You form the land and
do everything.
Set up temples and stuff and try to win the game and answer prayers and all that. It's a lot of fun.
It's a good one. As I've already said. Okay, so my number 4 is one that you have mentioned already, which is not a surprise because we've played mostly the same game. But clearly I liked it better. And that is a solo only, well, I mean, there is technically a multiplayer. Anyway, it's a solo game and it is Deck of Wonders. So I love the art for this game. I love the challenge of it because as you're playing through the different campaigns and trying to defeat certain bad guys, it can be pretty hard. And so, like, when I finally defeated, like, the first bad guy, I was like, oh yeah, like, dropped his card. I'm like, take that, Colin, because he was pompous. And anyway, but yeah, so I've really enjoyed this, and I played through the whole story. I'm sure there's been some adjustments and stuff, but
you also helped name some parts of the story.
I did! I helped name the forest. I don't currently remember what I called it, but it was really cool, and it was Latin-esque and had meaning. I'll just have to go look it up. But yeah, so it's a good one, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to try like the full real product and have the player mat with the trolls. Because we got that.
Yes, we did. Anyway, so my number 4 is another ship game that Allison mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it is
Old Salt.
Yep, Old Salt. Just like Allison said, this is right up my alley, my type of game. You are a faction that has special abilities, and at the beginning of the game, you get to choose a certain number of ships, and put the ships on the board at different spots, and you try to control those spots while attacking other spots and taking those over. The different rounds have different tides that affect movement on the board, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of strategy because, like, depending on how your ship is facing, you can have, bow to stern, where it's like harder to hit your ship, or you could be broadside, where your ship can then counterattack.
It's the game that finally helped me remember like the sides of a ship.
Do you know port and starboard?
Sometimes.
But
Last time you asked me, I guessed it right.
Anyway, it is a lot of fun. It's very strategic. It's very thinky, and I love it. And that is Old Salt.
Nice. So we are finally down to our top 3.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 3 is a game you haven't played.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I know what it is, but yes.
Okay, what does it start with?
C.
Fine. Anyway, so yeah. This is a game that's actually going to be coming out in the next couple months or so, so I'm really excited to play it again for real and not just online. And it is Creature Comforts from Kids Table Board Gaming. It is adorable. It's kind of like Everdell mixed with Wreck Raiders. That's how I would kind of put it. Like, it's different, but it's still cozy and adorable little animal critters, and you're rolling some dice on your own, and then there's group dice. And you kind of like make decisions before having all the information. You're like putting things out and hoping to like collect certain things based on what the dice are rolled. Kind of inhibits like what you can actually receive. And there's ways to mitigate, like if you have like, oh, that was a really bad round. There's ways to mitigate that so you don't feel like it was a waste. And it's kid friendly. Well, like, older kid friendly. But I've had a lot of fun with it, and I really liked it, and it's adorable, and it's cute, and I need it, and we're getting it.
Cool. So my number 3 is a game Allison mentioned, and I thought would be higher on the list, personally, because it's Red Raven.
Okay.
And that is Now or Never. It's, I don't know. This is on so high on my list because I'm really excited to see the story mode for this. Like Allison said, I'm pretty invested in the Arzium like universe, and just can't wait to get my hands on this game. So let's go.
Soon.
Let's get it.
Maybe in a couple weeks.
Hopefully.
We pre-ordered it, so we have promos for it. We just don't have the game yet. All right. My number 2 is a game of adorable art, and you're trying to keep the heroes out. From Breway Games.
In.
No, keep the heroes in. Because you have to keep the heroes in. That's what you think, right? Well, that's what our 4-year-old thinks. But yeah, so keep the heroes out. It's a great challenge because it's kind of like tower defense and asymmetrical abilities, and it just looks amazing on the table. And it's so fun to play. You can play like easy mode, hard mode, long game, short game. There's so many different factions, so you can like change it up, and there's so many different scenarios because the tiles you can move around depending on who you're facing against.
There's 20 different scenarios?
Yeah.
And like 10 different bad guys?
At least. There's way more than 10 bad guys.
I thought it was 10, and then the last like 11 through 20 was different mixtures of bad guys.
I don't know. Anyway.
I can't remember exactly.
But yeah, so I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's just ridiculous, and you can lose pretty easily. Like, you can think you're playing, you're like, we're doing great, we've got some extra cards we've earned, like, there's a little bit of deck building, and you're like, oh, I'm doing fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, we lost. How did we lose?
I guess when I say bad guys, I mean heroes.
Right.
Because we're the bad guys.
Yeah. You knew what we meant.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this one. We had the prototype for a while, and we shipped it back. Finally, eventually. It took us a while to ship it back. But yeah, so I really, 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 really can't wait for us to get like the final production copy so I can play it again. And the meeples are amazing, and they're huge, and they're adorable.
So my number 2 is high on my list, but I think Allison likes it more.
We'll find out.
My number 2 is another god game where you are manipulating the land and have followers, and you're taking them on and off the board and building different shrines and temples and things, and that is Oros. This is a very fun game, and it has this really unique kind of board shape where how the different land tiles, you can move them around the board and shift them or slide them across and mix up everything and then crush them together to make mountains and volcanoes and really interesting stuff in that respect. But then you also have this layer of putting followers out onto the board to go learn and to go worship you and to move around the board and build shrines or whatever. And it's a very good game, and I love it.
That's a good one. Okay, moving on to our number 1 picks. My number 1 is Oros.
Yep, I knew she liked it more than I did.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding.
I liked it way more than you because it's obviously like mine's number 1, yours is number 2. It's so far away. But yeah, so I love everything about this game. This is by Ash Games, and it's a one-man show. Brant Brinkerhoff, he designed it, made it, art, graphic design, all of the stuff. He did it all by himself, and it's an amazing game. I love how thinky it is and strategic because you have a board of different abilities that you can kind of like increase and earn along the way. And so it doesn't start off necessarily asymmetrical, but as you're playing it, you can be like, oh, I really want to go for like shifting mountains, or he may want to go for like volcanoes, or go for the follower track. And there's different things that you can do. And it's just an amazing...
You can't do it all. So
no, you can't.
You definitely have to choose what you want to go up.
Yeah, and with like the different shrines and temples that you're building, you can choose to increase those to get more points. So you're like, as you're playing, you're like, okay, I'm putting out a lot of temples. I'm gonna like increase that. But then if you get blocked and other things, you're like, oh no. So it's amazing, and there's a solo game, and I love that too because all the different gods have different abilities. Like their deck of cards range from like easy to medium to really hard, and it's just amazing. And we had the prototype for a while, and I cannot wait to have the final copy. And then we got the neoprene mat for the board, so it'll be easier to like move things around. I want it so bad, so bad. Okay, anyway, I'm done.
Okay. So my number one didn't even make Allison's top 5.
Okay. I don't know.
You don't know?
Wait, what? What did you not mention? Oh, okay, I got it. Go ahead.
So yeah, my number one didn't even make Allison's top 5.
It was number 6.
But this is a game where you get a special character that has lots of unique abilities, and you can either battle it out against other people, you can team up, and that is Heroes of the Shire. It is just an incredible game. There is so much depth and so much to learn. Like I said when Allison was talking about this game, you can't play this game just once. There's so much strategy and nuance in this game that you can't
like even
pick up.
just with one character. Yeah.
Right, you can play the same character 5, 6, 7 times and still learn things about that character and like how best to like counter other characters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very well done game in my opinion. And yes, there's lots of dice, but there's hardly any rolling. The dice are used mainly to keep track of when you can use an ability again.
And your health.
Because and your health, because your each ability has a different cooldown depending on how powerful it is. So it's just a very interesting game where you have to think through every action and think through what your opponent can do to you and how you have to counter those things. And that is Heroes of the Shire.
Nice. I didn't really think about what would be your number one choice, but I figured like Heroes of the Shire, Old Salt, and Oros would definitely be high up on your list. I thought Deck of Wonders would actually be higher for you.
So, like I said, my like 1 through 10 are all
right.
very close. Yes, I think Heroes of the Shire, like Mythica, Old Salt, Now or Never, Oros, like those are all very close in my opinion, and I had a hard time seeing which one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And then even, Quests and Canyons, Keep the Heroes Out, Deck of Wonders, Space Plague, those are all, I think, really good games as well.
I think the only one that we will not be getting from that one is Old Salt, and then Mythica hasn't launched yet, actually, so. And then for me, I think we are getting... we didn't back Meeples and Monsters. I backed it for $1. I debated. It was actually a really good deal for the Kickstarter version, but he didn't try it, so I didn't.
Well, and for us, like, Old Salt really isn't your type of game, and with how big it is and just kind of the types of games we play, it was going to be hard to just get it out to the table.
Yeah.
So it was hard to, like, justify, spending the money on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if anybody wants to give us the game, I wouldn't mind having it.
No. Well, I mean, I'm
Just
sure
kidding.
we can try to pick it up another time, too.
Oh, yeah.
But it came down to, like, all the games that we've done the reviews, like, we did a review for that, we did reviews for other things where it's like, we can't back them all.
Yeah.
And you'd love to. And there's a few of them that, after doing the review, they were like, oh, hey, we'll give you the copy. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, it's like we want to, like, participate and help them. Like, I feel like sometimes we would put, like, a couple bucks or whatever to the different campaigns, but it's like we really can't back all of them.
Right.
As much as we would love to. We're not that rich. Anyway, so yeah, those are our top 20 prototypes that we've played. Games that are coming out soon, or a few of them that may be launching soon on Kickstarter. All very worth your time, depending on what you like to go for. We explained most of them decently, so you'll have a good idea of like, oh, that sounds interesting. Go look it up. I'll put links in the description for all of these games. That's a lot of games, but yeah, lots of fun stuff, and I really can't wait for most of these. I mean, a decent amount of them, we actually have copies of them still, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I want, like, the final production copies of some of these. I can't wait. Anyway, so I have nothing else to say.
Awesome. Well, this has been Better Half Reviews. Go follow us on Instagram, because we do lots of cool things over there as well. Like unboxings. We've showed all these games, I think.
Lots of pictures.
Yeah, we have lots of pictures of a lot of these games.
I got some really fancy pictures of Keep the Heroes Out on there. But yeah, anyway. So go check us out on Instagram. It's Better Half Reviews. I am Allison.
I'm Bryce, and we're Better Half Reviews.
Happy gaming.
Have fun.
Bye.
Yeah. I really liked the.
I'm being quiet till then.
I was just gonna wait till you're done. Bop in the boop bop.
Oh, we're doing 15 now?
How about we do 18? Just a random number.
No.
17?
No.
17 and a half.
Okay, anyway. Half. We liked half of this game. Not the other half, just this half.
You looked at my stuff?
I only looked at 20 and below.